My name is Ryan. I'm 17, and I live in a quiet neighborhood in upstate New York. This happened about 2 years ago when I was 15. My parents were going out of town for a wedding and decided to hire a babysitter for my little brother Ethan. He was 8 at the time. I was old enough to stay alone, sure, but my parents didn't fully trust me to take care of both of us for the weekend. So they hired someone. Her name was Callie. She was 20, went to the local community college, and had apparently babysat for a few families around town. My mom found her through a Facebook group for parents. She had glowing reviews, responsible, friendly, sweet with kids. When she arrived that Friday night, everything seemed normal. She had this calm, collected energy about her. Soft voice, big smile. Ethan liked her immediately, and I didn't really care as long as she let me stay in my room and do my thing. That night, she made us dinner, helped Ethan with some homework, and then watched cartoons with him until bedtime. I stayed in my room, scrolling through Reddit and chatting with friends. Around 10 p.m., I walked past the living room to grab some snacks from the kitchen and noticed Callie sitting on the couch, staring at the blank TV screen. I mean literally staring. No phone, no book, no lights on. Just sitting there. I paused for a second and said, "Hey, you good?" She blinked a couple of times, then smiled. "Yeah, just tired. Long day." I awkwardly nodded and went back to my room. That night, I had a hard time sleeping. I kept hearing floorboards creaking. Our house is old, so it wasn't that unusual. But these steps were different. They weren't random. They were deliberate, like someone walking slowly, back and forth. I figured it was just Callie moving around, whatever. Saturday morning, things felt normal again. Callie made breakfast, played with Ethan in the backyard, and even offered to drive us to the park. I didn't go. I stayed home, enjoying the rare peace and quiet. At one point, I got curious and snooped through the guest room where she was staying. Not proud of that, but something about her just felt off. I didn't find anything strange, just a duffel bag with clothes and a paperback novel. Later that night, after Ethan went to bed, Callie knocked on my door and asked if I wanted to watch a movie with her. I agreed, mostly out of boredom, and we ended up watching some action flick in the living room. Halfway through, I noticed she kept glancing toward the hallway, like she was waiting for something, or someone. I muted the TV and asked, "Did you hear something?" She shook her head too quickly and smiled. "Nope. Just checking if your brother's still asleep." Okay. I went to bed around midnight. Again, I had trouble falling asleep. The floor creaked. A door opened somewhere. Then, I heard whispering. Very faint, but definitely a voice. I held my breath, trying to make out the words, but it was too soft. I got up, opened my door, and stepped into the hallway. The house was dark. I could see a sliver of light under Ethan's door and assumed maybe Callie was checking on him. But when I knocked gently and opened it, the room was empty. The bed was neatly made. No Ethan. Panic shot through me. I called his name, checked the bathroom, the kitchen, the backyard. Nothing. My heart was racing as I finally opened the guest room door. Callie wasn't there either. Her bag was gone. I ran outside and called my parents, but they didn't pick up. I was about to call 911 when I heard a car engine down the street. I ran barefoot, still in my pajamas, following the sound until I saw headlights in the distance. It was a black sedan, turning the corner, disappearing into the night. I ran back home, locked every door, and waited. About 15 minutes later, the front door clicked open. It was Callie, and she was holding Ethan's hand. I ran to them, shouting, "Where the hell were you?" Callie looked surprised. "We just went for a drive." Ethan couldn't sleep, so I took him to get ice cream. Sorry, I didn't want to wake you. I looked at Ethan. He was quiet, pale. He didn't say a word. Not even to me. My gut told me something was wrong, but I had no proof. And my parents were still unreachable, so I let it go. For the moment. The next morning, Ethan was back to normal, laughing, watching cartoons. But he wouldn't talk about the night before. Every time I brought it up, he got quiet. Then while brushing his teeth, he said something that made my skin crawl. She said not to tell you. I froze. Who? He shrugged. Callie. She said you'd be mad. And she said if I told you, she'd take me to the woods. I felt sick. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in front of Ethan's door with a baseball bat. On Sunday, my parents came home. I told them everything. My dad was furious and called Callie right away. She answered and calmly explained the same story. Ice cream, drive. Ethan couldn't sleep. She sounded so normal. So confident. My parents believed her. I didn't. The next day, I skipped school and went digging. I looked through the Facebook group where my mom had found her. Her post was gone. Not just the babysitting ad. Her entire account. I Googled her name. Found nothing. No college records. No previous jobs. No address. The number she used? Registered to a burner phone. I went through the house, trying to see if she left anything behind. In the guest room closet, behind a loose panel, I found something. A photograph. It was old, black and white, faded. It showed a young boy, probably Ethan's age, and next to him, a woman who looked exactly like Callie. Same smile, same eyes. But the photo had a date scribbled on the back. I showed it to my parents. They dismissed it as a coincidence, but I couldn't let it go. A week later, Ethan woke up screaming in the middle of the night, said he saw her standing at the foot of his bed, smiling. We moved 2 months later.